Hello, hey, how's it going? My name is Gabby, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be starting a reading vlog for The Stand by Stephen King. I am very nervous to venture into this book because it is about 1100 pages, and I think this is going to tie with it for the longest book that I've ever read, or maybe it's more pages than it. I don't really know, to be honest. But either way, I am very much looking forward to this. I think this vlog is going to be spoiler free, but I will put a spoiler warning on the screen whenever I do jump into spoilers, because I'm sure there will be moments where I will want to jump into spoilers since this book is so long. Hello, this is Editing Me here. I just wanted to pop on here really quick and say that I was originally going to try to do this vlog spoiler free, but because of the length of this book and all of the stuff that I wanted to talk about, I ended up just making this vlog filled with spoilers. So you've been warned, this vlog will include spoilers for this book. And if you didn't know, I'm very excited that I'm going to be doing a live show to discuss this book on May 6th at 4 p.m. Pacific time and 7 p.m. Eastern time, and it's going to be over on Krystle's channel. We're reading this book with a group of girls for their horror in 24. It's basically like reading a horror book in 24 days. I am only going to give myself 10 days to get through this. Today is April 10th, and I would love to have this book finished by April 20th. That is my goal. So the book is 1100 pages divided by 10 days, so that's about 110 pages per day, which I feel like is totally doable for me. And I also just downloaded the audiobook for this book from my library, so I actually only have the audiobook available to me for only like the next 12 days or something, because I've actually had it checked out for like over a week now. And so this afternoon I want to start this book. I would love to get about like 200 pages in today. That's my goal for today. But I just got home from work. It's a Saturday and it's about 5:30 at night right now, and so I'm just gonna start reading this until I get hungry, and then order food, feed Tank, and then hopefully get to page 200 by tonight. Pretty end papers. It's 48 hours long. Lord help us all. Random House Audio presents The Stand, complete and uncut by Stephen King. Read for you by Robert Gardner. Charlie's voice, Colin Girl, Krystle. Sally's way on the first she plans the black and white people, so for a bachelor party. Charlie's shooting a beat, using some math. We got 9 months to win, over Carol's way. For example, with 30 hours a week, she can be tired. Hello, it is much later in the night now. It's actually midnight, and I just wanted to let you know that I've actually gotten a decent chunk of the way through The Stand today. I've been reading, not all night, but for a good chunk of the night, and I'm on page 176, so, you know, making a dent. I've been listening along with the audiobook, and it says that I'm 15% of the way through, and that's awesome. I really wanted to reach my goal today of getting at least 200 pages in, so I think I'm definitely gonna do that. I'm gonna try to stay up a little bit right now to get to page 200, which, like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to stay up very late tonight because I woke up kind of early today at like 8 a.m. I mean, it's early for me, but I'm definitely still gonna try to stay up to get at least to page 200. But so far, I'm actually really enjoying this. I'm surprised by how much I'm enjoying it so far. I feel like I didn't really even explain to you in the first clip like what this book is even about. This book is about a virus, and it's about like a pandemic. It's about this flu-like virus that breaks out and takes over the world, and something that I'm excited about for in this book is that I've heard that there's like some supernatural and spookiness involved in this book in some way. We have not quite gotten to the supernatural things yet where I'm at in this book, but regardless, I am really enjoying this build-up, and I'm really enjoying the characters so far, which I'm kind of surprised about because I feel like in previous Stephen King books, I've never really cared a whole lot about the characters. It's more like the plot that I'm interested in, and I think that is still the case with this one. Like, I'm definitely here for the plot because I think it's really interesting. Like, I think the whole idea of this virus is really scary and really interesting, but I'm also really enjoying these characters for the most part. Like, the character Franny is this like young girl, and I'm really interested in her character, and I really love her dad. Like, Franny's dad is one of my favorite characters in this book, and then I also really like Nick's character. He's 22 years old and he's mute and he's deaf, which I just find to be a really interesting character to read about. You know, everyone says reading this book during a pandemic just adds that extra layer of fear to this story, and I think that's really true. It'll be like talking about this one cop, and he'll be like saying how, oh, he feels like he has a slight cold today, but he goes to work anyways. His cough starts to get worse throughout his shift, and like little did he know, he just signed the death warrant for like all these people that he met that day. and just like the idea of how quickly something can spread and how all these people are unknowingly getting everyone in their lives sick. And it's just the fact that this hits so close to home with like our current state of the world right now, it does add that extra layer of intensity and fear. And especially because this particular flu-like virus that they have in this book, it does feel like, in a way, like similar to COVID, you know, and it feels similar to like the flu that we know. And I think that's what's so scary about COVID and about this, is because the symptoms that you have from these things can appear like a normal flu or like a normal cold. And I think that's why it's especially scary, because you don't know when you have the deadly thing, you know? But I know, I mean, for this book, like, the flu-like flu thing in this book is much more deadly than anything we have in the real world, but still, it's pretty terrifying. I really liked the opening scene. We were following this family who was like getting ready to leave, and they were like, we have to get out of here, we have to go and like get on the highway. And then it was saying like by the time they hit the road, the dad was like already coughing or something. And then we go into part 1 of the book, and then we go and see in chapter 1 when the guys find this family on the highway in their car and they're all dead, and we know that it's like the family from that first scene in the beginning. I just thought that was so stunning and just so like, it automatically grips you right away and makes you think like, holy fuck, what's going on? One thing I will say though that I'm not enjoying is the way that Stephen King writes women and the way that he sexualizes women. I know it's always from the male's point of view, but it's like really freaking annoying. And especially the way that he has certain characters who are sons and they really sexualize their mothers. It is the most strange thing, and I don't know why. I experienced the same thing when I read Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King, and it's that there will be a male character who sexualizes his mother, and it's disturbing. And in this character, there's this guy, Larry, and he's like a young, probably like in his 20s dude, and he's like talking about his mom's ass and like talking about her legs and like just sexualizing his mom. It's like really fucking strange, and I just don't understand why that's a thing. It's like, I don't know if I'm supposed to like his character or if he's supposed to be kind of like, gross, but I don't like that. I ain't about that. I don't want to read about these sons sexualizing their mothers. It's just so strange. Anyways, I'm gonna jump back in now, try to read a little bit more of this tonight. I feel like I'm going right on pace with where I want to be so far, so I'm pretty happy about that. I know that some people get annoyed when I get so excited about getting to a certain page number, or they're like, who cares, just read it or whatever, but I love having goals for myself. Goals keep me on track, and it makes me feel so satisfied when I reach my own personal goals. And honestly, with a book this size, the only way I will get through this is if I set mini goals for myself along the way. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but I need to have a plan. See you tomorrow! Okay, this woman is dead, right? And he's like, he felt a terrible and thankfully transient urge to bend down and touch the dead woman's breast to see if they were hard or flaccid. Like, why? Why? This is what I mean. He's even sexualizing dead women. Like, can he fucking not? Good morning. Last night I got 230 pages into it. I'm now on chapter 27. I've started adding in some tabs last night because I was like dog-earing the pages, and this copy is just so freaking nice that I felt like I didn't want to dog-ear the pages, so I've just been adding in some yellow post-it notes wherever I like find something interesting, or wherever they like kind of talk more about this flu-like virus and the symptoms, just because I want to like understand it better. And I also decided I want to put any orange tabs on some of the pictures, like, because there's like some drawings throughout this book that I think are really cool, and I don't know if it's like special to this edition, but there's a few pages like this where there's cool drawings. Like, I've flipped through some of the rest of the book and there's quite a bit of them coming up, so I wanted to be able to tab all the photos so that when I'm done reading it I can like flip through and see all of them again. But again, still, so far I'm really enjoying this. I really like the audiobook for this. I feel like the narrator is doing such a great job like building the suspense and like creating different sounding voices for different characters. Like I just really appreciate that, because I hate when audiobook narrators like don't even try to make the characters sound different from each other, because it gets very confusing in my brain. But I'm really enjoying this as an audiobook. There was just this scene where there were like soldiers like out on the street, and there was like some action, and we were listening to like an audio clip that was like from a transcript. It was like a tape where it was like, here's a transcript from this where we heard, and the way the narrator was able to like narrate the scene, it literally felt like an action movie. Like it was so cool the way that he did that. I think it's really interesting and terrifying the way that the government is responding to the virus in this book, because they're just kind of acting like, oh, it's not a big deal, or like, oh, we already have the vaccine available, like ready to go out next week, even though they don't. Like they don't have a grip on anything. They don't know what this is. And the way the president is like literally addressing the country, and he's like literally coughing while he's addressing the country, it's like clearly he's a little unhinged himself, and he clearly has whatever this virus is. And it's like the way the government will try to lie to the public to keep the public calm is just very scary. And I mean, I feel like we do have both sides with, you know, this COVID pandemic. I feel like there are some government officials who are taking it very seriously and letting the public know the truth about it. But I also do feel like we do have those certain politicians who are going to try and act like coronavirus is no big deal. And so I do think we see both sides of it more with our coronavirus pandemic, but it's really interesting to see the government being so secretive about it in this book and just straight up like lying about it. I just find that to be really interesting. I mean, it is interesting, right? Because we don't know for sure if the government is telling us everything about COVID. I mean, is there really a way to know for sure if they are, you know? I don't know. But yeah, I'm still really enjoying it. And today is a Sunday. I don't have a lot going on today. I mean, I do have to film one video today, and there's some other like little things that I have to do here and there, but like for the most part I don't have a lot of plans. So I feel like I want to get a good chunk of this book done today, just because I'm really enjoying it and I really want to read right now, which is always a good sign. Like I need to take advantage of any time that I feel like I'm in a reading mood. And so maybe I would like to get up to like page 500 today. I mean, that would only require me to read a little bit more than I did yesterday, and that would be great for my goal of getting through this in 10 days. It's a little bit later in the afternoon. It's about 3 o'clock, and I am now 350 pages into this book. I am on chapter 38. There have been a lot of exciting things that have happened very recently in the plot, so I do want to talk about some spoilers with you. But I was really sad. I just read the scene when Franny's dad died, which I'm sad because he was low-key one of my favorite characters, just because he was so like soft and so sweet with her. But I had a feeling he was probably gonna die. I also just saw that scene when Stu escaped from the hospital, and like he had assumed that that doctor was like sent in there to kill him, and then he like took the chair and like beat over the doctor's head with it and then took off, and he was able to escape the hospital. And that whole scene of Stu like escaping from that hospital, that whole scene totally reminded me of Rick Grimes in The Walking Dead. Like in the first scene in The Walking Dead, when Rick Grimes is like fleeing the hospital and there's just like dead bodies everywhere, and it's almost like a zombie apocalypse breaking out. Like it totally felt so similar to that scene. I also just read the scene when Larry and Rita are like leaving New York together, and they're like leaving on foot, and her foot is like bleeding and shit because she brought like really bad shoes for it. And Larry is like such a fucking asshole. Like I haven't liked him since the beginning because of the way he's like creepy and sexualizes his mom, who's now dead. Even the way that he's talking to Rita, and like he's getting mad at her for like throwing up and stuff. Like he's just such a douche canoe. I also really like Harold and Franny's friendship. They're kind of like bonding over the fact that both of their parents have died, and so I really enjoy the like friendship that they're developing. And like she's like still, I think she's about 3 months pregnant now, and like nobody knows that she's pregnant, and I just feel so bad for her because I can't imagine how like scared she's feeling about like what's gonna happen to her baby. Really creepy. I just finished the part where Stu like met this other guy and they were like talking about the pandemic, and he's like saying like they have all these theories about like what will happen to babies, or like if babies are immune to it or not. And the guy talks about that dream that he's been having of like this man with like red eyes, like like not even looking at him but just like looking off in the distance and all this. And then it's really creepy because the chapter just ended with Stu having like the same dream about the man, and he said he has like a shadow over his face, and like it's just, I don't know, it was like really creepy and really well done. And I feel like I have 2 different predictions on where this is going, you know, because I know people have said there's like a supernatural element to this book, so I know to expect that kind of, which I'm kind of sad that I know about, honestly, because like 350 pages into this book and there hasn't been any talk of like something supernatural yet. I mean, it's been hinted at like a little bit, but I feel like I would have been more shocked by whatever is going to happen if I didn't know that. I think it's going to go either one of 2 ways. I think it's either going to be like a zombie apocalypse, like these people that are dying of this super flu are like coming back as zombies, because so much of this book is reminding me of The Walking Dead at some parts, so I just feel like it could go in that direction. And the way that they're talking about how people in the society are going to behave when there's like no one in power anymore, and you know, like how the people are gonna get more rowdy and crazy after the government's gone and everything like that. But I also feel like it could go in a more like religious sense too, because even the guy with the red eyes and the like shadowed face, and what did he say? He was like chanting something. He was like, all of heaven and earth, all of heaven and earth. And that just made me think, like, what if this goes into a whole different like religious thing, and like that's where the supernatural part of this goes? Like it's like certain people are saved or something like that, and that's why like certain people aren't getting any symptoms. I also have a theory that like all of the main characters that we're following, I mean maybe this is implied and I'm just like dumb, but I feel like all of the main characters that we're following, like Stu, Franny, and Nick, like all 3 of them don't have any symptoms, and they've been like exposed to tons of people that have this super flu and none of them have gotten it. So I'm like, okay, either they're all immune and that's why we're reading about them, because they're like special or whatever, or maybe they have some kind of like supernatural ability that prevents them from getting the super flu that they don't know about yet. I don't know, I'm just kind of spitballing at this point, but I feel like really enjoying it. Like there definitely was in these like last like 100 to 50 pages or so that were it was kind of like slow. Stephen King just has a habit of like overwriting to the point where it's like not necessary to know all of this information, but it's fine. I'm enjoying it, and I think I'm doing good for my goal today. I'm already on page 350, so I only have like 150 more pages to read today for me to hit my goal of getting to page 500. Rachel made this avocado carbonara pasta. Dude, I'm so excited. This looks so fancy. Rachel's a chef! Hello, it's like 11 o'clock at night now, and I wanted to let you know that I got all the way up to page 430. But yeah, I'm on chapter 44. I just looked, and the next 2 chapters are both like 50 pages each, and so I'm kind of like, oh, holy fuck. So I think for tonight, I'm just gonna try to read these next 2 chapters. I just hit book 2 not too long ago, like literally page 400 is pretty much the start of book 2 in the book. And I really like the way that book 1 ended. I took some notes so that I wouldn't forget, but I really liked in chapter 38, I liked how it was just like a bunch of like little short snippets of like all the different ways these random people have died. Like it was very random, and it kind of reminded me of like Salem's Lot, when it would just be like, I don't know, like Salem's Lot does that thing too where it seems like the book is being told from the point of view of the town Salem's Lot. It kind of had that feel to it where it's like the town is telling you about all the recent like deaths that have happened and stuff. I don't know, it was a very interesting chapter. And then the character Rita, she ended up like killing herself by swallowing a bunch of those pills, and she was like choking on her own vomit. And when Larry found her, of course his immediate impulse reaction is like to be angry with her. I can't stand Larry's character. And then I love how at the very end of book 1 we finally get different characters meeting, because Stu is like on the road and he meets Harold and Franny, which I thought was like really cool. I just like seeing their paths finally merge, because I figured it was gonna happen at some point, but I loved that whole scene with them, because like Harold just got immediately so mad because he didn't want Stu to join them, because he admitted that he's like in love with Franny. And I think it's just so funny that I love the way book 1 ended, because Stu had to like go to the side and be like, listen, like, I'm not interested in being with Franny, like I just want to be with other people, you know, because they're still dealing with this freaking pandemic apocalypse. And then Harold is like, yeah, okay man, yeah. And then book 1 ends with Stu being like, well, maybe I am into Franny. Like, I feel like it's gonna break into like some kind of love triangle with them, which I think is so fun. And then at the start of book 2, we're following Nick, and he like meets this new guy, Tom. Then I thought it was so ridiculous how as soon as Nick goes into that one grocery store and he meets that girl named Julie, she like immediately wants to fuck him. It was like it was like so fast. I was like, what the heck? Like, I don't trust anybody who's like, yeah, let's fuck right here in this fucking grocery store. Like, disgusting. And then I thought it was like ridiculous how quickly he realized that she's kind of like crazy, and just like dropped her so quick and like ran her off with a gun. I just knew that was gonna come, but like that literally all happened within the span of like 1 chapter. I was like, what even the heck? So that's kind of like where I'm at, and I guess I'm at the part where Nick and Tom, at the very end of that chapter, it says they met Ralph Brenter, and I'm like, who is that? Like, I'm getting all the characters mixed up in my brain. That's why I'm trying to take notes, because I'm like, have we been introduced to Ralph before? I don't know, but I'm still enjoying it. But I don't like how now in book 2 it seems like all of the chapters are like really fucking long. Like, the next 2 chapters are both about 50 pages long each, and this first chapter that I just read in book 2 was like really long as well. I didn't even notice how many pages it was, but I was like, geez, when is this gonna end? And you know it's long when the audiobook says the next chapter, like just the next chapter, is 131 minutes. Like, bitch, that's the fucking length of a movie for 1 chapter. But it's all good. I'm listening on 2.7 speed, so I'll get through it fast, but so yeah, anyways, I'm just gonna listen to the next 2 chapters and then probably call it a night, because I didn't sleep very well last night and I am so tired. Why does this book have to say the N-word so many times? This one chapter, this character is saying it over and over again, and it's driving me crazy. Like, this is not okay. And I'm pretty sure these are all white characters saying this, and you know, Stephen King is a white author, and it's just like, I know this book came out like a long time ago, but it's driving me crazy. What the fuck? I just got to this part where this whole group of people is like talking together about their dreams, and like all of them are saying that they all have had very vivid dreams, and that they all have been dreaming about this dark man. The way she said it, she's like, they used to call it the shining lamp of God. And I'm like, wait, are all of these people like surviving this super flu because they have the shining? Like, does this connect to the book The Shining? And like, these people have that same ability as like Danny Torrance? I don't know if I'm just like making this up in my brain, but I feel like that's where this is going. The heck, that would be so cool. Oh my god. Also, with the way that this is like talking about God so much, it has me wondering if the end of this book is going to get very religious. Like, I can almost see it going in that direction, and I'm not sure how I feel about that if it does. Hello. So last night I got up to page 524 of The Stand, and now that puts me at 45% of the way through the audiobook. And yeah, I'm going to pick up an acai bowl right now so that I can have energy to read today. But of that 1 chapter that I read last night that was like 50 pages, like, oh my god, Stephen King spent 27 pages giving a backstory to this one character who I don't know how relevant she is to the story, but I'm like, 27 pages! That's wild. Like, only Stephen King.
It was just after 12 noon. Barry had fallen into exhausted sleep beside Mark, who had moved carefully in the shade 2 hours earlier. He was in and out of consciousness, and it was easier on all when he was out. He had held against the pain for the remainder of the night, but after daybreak he had finally given into it when he was conscious.
I'm almost on page 580 now. I got to the part where that one dude gets appendicitis, which, like, wow, that fucking blows, man. Can't imagine in like an apocalyptic world getting something that's like, you know, it would be pretty easy to fix in the real world, but like in an apocalyptic world where there's no doctors, that's so scary. I feel like That is something that would happen to me in the apocalyptic world, getting something like appendicitis and fucking dying over it. And then I also got to the part where Franny and Stu just like confessed their love for each other, and then Harold just like read Franny's diary and just like took off and bailed on the whole crew, which like in a way I kind of feel a little teensy bit bad for Harold, but also mostly I feel like, I don't know, I feel like he's kind of being a baby about it. But yeah, anyways, now this next chapter, it says it's 129 minutes long on the audiobook, and I'm like, dude, is this all gonna be from Harold's point of view? Because please, no. I got to page 628. I'm getting kind of bored, so I'm taking a break. I've just been watching some YouTube on my phone, and I mean, the good news is that I'm 54% of the way through the audiobook. I mean, which means I'm more than halfway through the book. I mean, obviously I'm 600 pages into it, so that's a little bit more than halfway. Okay, so I just had the coolest experience in that bookstore. I have barely ever gone downstairs in that bookstore, so I didn't know like all of what was down there. And apparently they have a whole shelf that's dedicated to a bunch of ARCs of like some books that haven't even come out yet. And it's just ARCs because you can't technically sell ARCs, but it said on there that a $2 donation is required to take those ARCs. So I don't know if that counts as selling them or not, but super cool because I found so many ARCs down there that I was like, what the heck? I'm so excited about it. The first one I picked up is Who is Maud Dixon, which I'm so excited. I know I just read this book, but I like wanted to have it for my collection, and I don't really care if it's an ARC copy. Like, it looks really stunning and it looks the same, so I'm so excited to own this. And then the next one was Faye Far Away, which this is one that I've been highly anticipating. This is one that is like about time travel and it's historical fiction, and this is a different cover from the one that I've seen online, but holy crap, they had 2 copies of this one. And then they also had a copy of Saint X, which this is a thriller that came out earlier this year that I'm like super excited about and I haven't read yet. And like, look at it, it's stunning for an ARC. It like doesn't even look like an ARC. And then lastly, and the one that I'm probably the most excited for personally, is My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. Dude, this book doesn't even come out until August, and I just found it at my local bookstore for $2. I'm shook right now. So it looks like it came with the original like letter that came from the publisher for whoever got this. So like, what the heck? So yeah, anyways, I'm very excited about these book finds. And also the cashier at Village Books was so sweet. Like when I walked up, she was like, wait, do you have an Instagram that's like about books? And I was like, yes. And she was like, oh my god, she's like, I barely recognized you because I could only see your eyes because I was wearing my mask, but she was so sweet. What the heck? That is still so like weird and crazy to me that I could be recognized in public. I've been listening to the audiobook all day while I've been driving around, and I just checked where I'm at in the audiobook, and I opened the book and I'm on page 666. So like, I need to get past this page immediately. Yeah, so far I'm feeling like pretty much the same how I was earlier. Like I feel like this part is definitely slowing down and getting a little bit boring, and it's dragging a little bit. I feel like now we're past the whole idea of this pandemic, and it's just like people are so stoked to see that other people are even still out there. Like that's how bad it is. Like there's barely anybody left, and it just feels like one of those like apocalyptic books where like the groups are just like meeting each other and they're just like talking about their survival, and then like random things will happen. But it's weird because they all seem to be having dreams about either this woman, which is like Abigail, or they seem to be having dreams about the Dark Man, which is Randall Flagg. And I don't know if that's supposed to have some kind of like religious like symbolism, like they're supposed to represent like good versus evil, or if they're supposed to represent like heaven and hell. Like, I don't know if I'm thinking too much into it, or if it's actually like some kind of religious metaphor. Like, I don't know. It's also kind of weird because isn't it funny how, you know, because like in our world that we're living in right now, you know, COVID is very highly contagious, and we get it through, you know, standing too close to someone that has it. And it's weird because this super flu in this book seems so similar to COVID in some ways, like the way that you can get it, and it's so contagious and stuff. But these people don't seem like the slightest bit concerned to be traveling in like groups and like to be around other people. Like, this book has not once ever mentioned anything about like social distancing or someone being concerned like, oh, maybe I shouldn't go with this group because, you know, they don't want to get sick. I mean, maybe all of these characters have just accepted that they've been exposed to whatever this super flu is so many times that there's no chance of them getting sick. Maybe, I don't know. But it's weird, they're just all like, yeah, like fuck it, even though that we're living in a fucking apocalyptic world where this super flu took everyone out, like, yeah, let me go hang out with this huge group of people. Like, it's kind of weird, you know?
Be surprised. So, if you see before I do months of word and all that. Okay, sure, Granny said. She was more mystified than ever. Bordeaux at the top, at the bottom, the date, 1947.
You know what's another thing that I'm confused about is that this book takes place in 1990, I guess. Like, that's the year that all of this is happening. But I know that The Stand was originally published in, like, the 1970s. I'm pretty sure. I googled it. I'm just confused, like, was this written like in the 1970s and Stephen King was like writing about the future, which would have been 1990, or was this republished version changed to 1990? Like, I don't know. And with the way that this book is written, I feel like it's not written as if it took place in the 90s. Like, this feels like it's from the 70s, you know what I mean? So I know it's like it's technically written in the 70s, which is why that is. But like, there's literally no 90s references at all to make it feel like it takes place in the 90s. I guess that would make sense if he had written it in the 70s, because he wouldn't have known what the 90s would be like yet. It's later in the night. It's like 10:30, and I got up to page 750. I was reading so much of this book in the afternoon, and then I accidentally took a fat nap. I was just so tired. Like, I haven't been sleeping that good lately. So I took a nap, and then I haven't read anything since I woke up. So far, I'm still feeling like the book is pretty slow. It's pretty mild right now. Like, I don't love what's happening. It's just a lot of talk about like the people in this committee, and they're like deciding a lot of things, and it almost seems in a way like I think they're trying to like rebuild some sort of little society in a way with like the people that are remaining. There's another thing that was mentioned that's making me feel like this is gonna go into like a religious thing at the end, because there's this piece of dialogue when she says, I think she's talking about Mother Abigail. She says she believes we are all part of a chess game between God and Satan. And then Satan's chief agent in this game is the adversary, who says his name is Randall Flagg. So it's kind of going off of like what I said earlier, how I think they're gonna be like symbolizing heaven and hell, and like Mother Abigail is like representing goodness, right? She's representing like heaven and God, and then Randall Flagg is representing like evil and like hell and Satan, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of confused still, and I kind of hope this doesn't go into like turn into like a religious thing, because I feel like then I'll get bored very quickly. And I'm still trying to figure out like what about this book is going to be supernatural, like unless I'm missing something, but like as far as I can tell there hasn't been anything supernatural yet, unless like the dark man is the supernatural element of this book. Like, I don't really know. I'm confusion. I do work all day tomorrow, and then tomorrow night I'm actually going and staying at my parents' house because they are taking a trip to Palm Springs to go and stay at my uncle's new place. And so me, Rachel, and Obed are all going over to my parents' house to watch Phoenix for a couple of days. So I'm not going to be at the apartment after tomorrow. I'm going to be staying at my parents' house until the end of the week. I do work all day tomorrow, and then I have Wednesday off, which I'll be able to read more, and then I work 2 doubles the next 2 days. Morning! Last night I got 854 pages in, and then I got really tired and I fell asleep so hard. And I was only reading until about like midnight last night, but I'm so happy with my progress these last few days, especially because today I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to read, like probably not until like way later tonight, because I'm working all day today, and then as you can see from all my shit in the back, I am going to stay at my parents' house. I do think I'm still going to listen to the audiobook on the way to work. Yeah, but it says I'm 74% of the way through the audiobook, and I actually only have 12 hours left. Holy crap. I'm in the home stretch.
Oh my
God, look at this baby. She's staying with me tonight. Oh, me. She's so cute. What are the fucking chances that this interview with Taylor would come out today? She's talking about her re-recordings of Fearless, and she says that the song Hey Stephen is about Stephen King.
Hey Stephen is about Stephen King.
Stephen King. Master of horror, Stephen King. Really?
Yes, he's amazing. The Dark Tower series changed my life, plus The Shining, The Stand, and don't even get me started on his short stories. Absolutely
Okay.
luminescent.
I know.
Oh my
I
God.
agree.
It's so freaking fun. Of course this interview would come out like while I'm reading The Stand, right? And she mentioned The Shining. So here's the thing. It's been like 2 days since I've read anything. I had a really long day at work today. I worked all day today, and it sucks because this morning I had to wake up at 7 a.m. to go and take my car into the car shop before work because my brakes have been sounding really like sketchy lately. And then like yesterday when I was going into Bellingham with Austin, my brakes literally sounded so bad. Something was wrong, you know? Like I was worried that I would like not make it home safe. It was really bad. It's about 10:30 at night or so right now, and surprisingly enough, I'm not too tired. Like I am tired. Like I'll probably be passed out by like midnight, but I do have like about an hour maybe of time that I can read The Stand tonight. And since I am getting so close to the end, I mean, I'm still like 850 pages in, and I would really like to get this book done by this weekend. I'm gonna chug along and try to read some of it tonight. Today's a Thursday, so I'm gonna stay up reading it a little bit tonight, and then tomorrow I work all day again, but then I have Saturday and Sunday off. So if worst comes to worst, I'll just finish it then. Let's go. Jumping back in. Good morning. So last night I got up to page 950 of The Stand. I only read about 100 pages last night, but I did get to book 3, so I'm on like the final leg of the book, and nothing like super interesting really happened, to be honest. Like there was just that scene where like Mother Teresa got like put into a coma, and then like Nick's character died, which like what the fuck, that was depressing, and I don't even fully understand like how the fuck that happened, but I just don't really care about their like committee or whatever the fuck, and like all their meetings. It's like so boring. And then like there's like 4 people that are supposed to be like going on this journey to like find the Dark Man or something, and I just like don't care. And like so far book 3 has only been about this Dark Man. Yeah, I don't know, I'm just kind of bored with it so far, so I don't know. I only have about 200 pages left, so I am in the home stretch. I think I have like 8 hours of the audiobook left, so who knows, maybe I can get crazy and finish it tonight. Like fucking we'll see, I don't know. But for now we're on the way to work. Rachel's driving me because I'm carless. Hi, I'm at work right now and I'm on break, and I've been listening to the audiobook because I didn't bring the actual physical book with me because that bitch is heavy. I'm listening to the audiobook right now, and I was listening to it a little bit while like opening this morning, so I'm 86% of the way now on chapter 65. But like, did I just listen to the Dark Man raping Nadine? Like God, I'm like trying to eat and it's like disgusting and fucking sad and just like ugh. It was so descriptive, and like no, I didn't need that. I didn't need all that. Oh my God, it just said he filled her with his night spawn. Can Stephen King not right now? Can he not? Oh my God, look at these freaking positions. Look at these positions that freaking Josh wrote for the night. This is my position, and then Rachel, and then Josh, because he used to live in the same apartment as us, and then Obed, and then freaking, like everyone is in relation to me, and I'm like, they're gonna think that I wrote these positions and that I'm like conceited.
Yeah, no, that's not your hand.
That I'm a narcissist. I'm like, everybody in relation to me. Hi, buddy. Hey. Hi, Beanie. These two are besties, huh? These are besties. So cute. Thank you. Oh, he's so tired. I'm on page 1128 and I have, I think, about like 20 pages left of the stand, and I'm so excited. I've been listening to this on audio pretty much all day, so I haven't been reading it physically as much today, but I was able to listen to it like all morning while I was opening the restaurant, and then I listened to it for the hour of my break today, and then I listened to it on the drive to and from work. And so yeah, and then as soon as I got home from work tonight while I was eating dinner, I just continued listening to the audiobook and probably got another like 70 pages in or so. And now we're in the home stretch. We're almost done. It's just been a lot of, you know, like there was some action scenes and there was like a nuclear explosion, and then Stu like fell and like broke his fucking leg, and then they left him there and he was like laying there for like days and his leg was just like snapped and he had like a fever. And then freaking Tom came back and like found Stu, and then Tom has been like taking care of Stu and like healing him back to health, and then they've been on this journey for like what seems like forever. I do love the relationship between Tom and Stu, so I'm kind of glad that it seems like this book is finishing with them, and I just hope that Stu gets to see Franny again before the end of this book. But anyways, I don't really have any idea how this is gonna end, so hopefully it ends with a bang. Oh my god, I just finished The Stand. It's gonna take me a minute to gather my thoughts for this book, but I will say a few things. I really do love the way that this book ended. Well, okay, I wasn't a huge fan of like the last like 600 pages or so. I honestly found the second half of the book to be incredibly boring and kind of pointless, but I did really like the last few sentences of the book. I liked how it says, "Life was such a wheel that no man could stand upon it for long, and it always at the end came round to the same place again." It really like brings everything full circle, and it kind of gives meaning to why this book is called The Stand, which I think is really interesting. And I'm also so happy that at the end of the book, Franny had the baby and her and Stu reunited, and it was really beautiful. And I'm happy to know that their baby survived, because it's kind of cool, because they were talking about how since Franny and Stu are both immune, how they think that played a part into why the baby was also immune, because they were really concerned that the baby was going to be born and immediately get super flu and die. But it seems like the baby is also immune, just like Stu and Franny are. And I love seeing their little like free zone community, like with all of their babies, and everybody was like happy for the most part. Like I like that it was kind of a happy ending. I mean, I am confused at the very end, like what perspective we're reading from, when the last like chapter of the book is just, you know, he awoke at dawn, he had his boots on, he sat up and looked around himself. Like which point of view this is, I feel like I might have to read it again, fully understand. But he says, "My name is Russell Faraday, and I have a mission. I have come to help you. I've come to teach you how to be civilized." The fuck? I'm done. And it took me less than a week. What's up? It's been about 2 days since I finished this book, and I don't think I have anything really new to add. I mean, you saw my entire experience reading this book. I feel like I'm going to end up giving this book somewhere around a 3.5 stars, just because I really did enjoy the first like 600 pages of this book. I really enjoyed the suspense and the like building of the characters, and I did end up really loving Franny and Stu as characters. I feel like the concept of this book is really strong and really great, but I do feel like this story kind of like lost its way after a while. Like it just got to be a little bit too dragged out, and I don't really love where this story ended up. I still don't really understand though what people are saying is supernatural about this book. I mean, unless people consider the, you know, the Dark Man and Abigail, like that whole thing to be supernatural, but I don't know if I would call that supernatural necessarily. It just kind of feels more like metaphorical to me. I don't usually like in books when it gets tied into this like religious metaphor towards the end. I don't know why. Like I've read a few horror books that tend to do that towards the end, and I just don't personally understand why that's a thing. Not a huge fan of it, but overall I enjoyed this book just fine. I, however, would still recommend Pet Sematary. Like Pet Sematary is still my #1 favorite Stephen King book, and I don't know if anything is ever gonna bump this because there's just something about this book that I just truly love. And then as far as like the massive Stephen King books go, I think 11/22/63 is much superior to The Stand. And I know this one isn't exactly the same genre, so they're not really easy to compare, but this book just affected me so fucking much. I cried like a baby reading this book. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's too early for me to try and decipher where The Stand would fall for me on a list of like my favorite Stephen King, but I will say I enjoyed The Shining and Salem's Lot more than The Stand. I think I also enjoyed It more than The Stand, but they're pretty close. They're pretty neck and neck for me. But I did end up enjoying The Stand more than I enjoyed The Long Walk, Misery, and Dr. Sleep. So I think it comes in pretty like middle of the ranking for me. Dude, what the heck? My copy of It is 1153 pages. Like, is that exactly the same? What? Dude, that's some freaky shit. Both It and The Stand are exactly 1153 pages, at least in both of these editions that I own. So these books are both tied exactly for the longest books that I've ever read. That is wild. What the hell? God, I'm looking back here at my Stephen King shelf and I keep forgetting of all the other books that I've read by him. I feel like I liked this one almost the same as The Institute. No, I think I liked The Institute a little bit more than this one, but mostly because of the Stranger Things vibes in this book. Really loved that. Right, well that's a wrap on The Stand. So if you've read this book, please let me know what are your thoughts on this book and where does it rank for you as a Stephen King book. And also don't forget, I'm going to be doing a live show with a bunch of girls to talk about this book over on Krystle's channel. It's going to be happening on May 6th, which is a Thursday at 4 p.m. PST / 7 p.m. Eastern time, so definitely be sure to come and chat with us and hang out and talk about the book there. And yeah, thank you so much for watching another really long Stephen King reading vlog. And if you're new to my channel, you might not know, but I've done a ton of other Stephen King reading vlogs, and so I'll have those linked down below if you are interested. For pretty much all these books I just mentioned that I've read, I have reading vlogs for those books as well. So yeah, I'll leave those all linked down below if you want to see those. And thank you so much for hanging out with me and for watching this video, and I will see you very soon with another one. Goodbye.